are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I'm the host of the African Father in America podcast, and I am in Seattle, Washington. I'm here with a really special guest. I'm going to introduce her in just a second here. Chief Gloria Williams is my special guest. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see both of our faces. The Daily African Proverbs is the name, and we do this every morning, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I've been doing this since January 2021, so I've been doing a lot of podcasting. I've been learning a lot. I've been connecting with a big global community, and each day we have a new African proverb that forms the core of our conversation. And many times I have different guests that join me. Sometime I just host the shows on my own. And today, our proverb is from Tanzania, and it says that the path of a liar is very short. Path of a liar is very short. And we all know that, you can only lie so many times. You can only be dishonest so many times. But eventually you'll be caught up in your web of lies. You'll be caught up in your web of lies. There's another Kiswahili saying that siku za mwizi ni 40. The days of a thief are only 40 days. I think there's an English version of that saying too. But really, I want to give you 3 takeaways from our conversation for you to note down. I want to invite you to ping in 3 to 5 people to join us for this conversation. And also, I want to invite you to join me on stage. If you're on Clubhouse, I'm just going to ping the people who are in there right now to join me on the stage. Remember to invite your friends and family to join us for this conversation. If you are on YouTube, thank you for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is a good time for you to do that. The first takeaway from this Tanzanian proverb, the proverb is, path of a liar is short. The path of a liar is short. First takeaway is, honesty is the best policy. Honesty is the best policy. And the second one is, it's always better to be truthful, even if it means hurting someone's feelings. And then the third one is, lying will only come back to bite you in the end. Those are our 3 takeaways. Think about them, and if you are not going to join us in these first few minutes of the conversation, many times you miss the takeaways. So I encourage you to join us early tomorrow in case you're watching this after it's been recorded. So now I want to invite our guest, Dr. Gloria Williams, to just speak to us about her own interpretation of this proverb. The proverb says, path of a liar is very short. Path of a liar is very short. And Dr. Gloria Williams is an Igbo chief, currently physically in the Bahamas, an educator, and a cultural custodian. I want you to introduce yourself a little more, Gloria, Chief Gloria Williams. Just tell us a little more about yourself, and then jump into giving us your own interpretation of this proverb from Tanzania. Path of a liar is very short.
Thank you, Simon. I appreciate your brief introduction. Point of correction, it's not doctor, it actually is chief. And I just wanted to mention that so that there's no misrepresentation whatsoever. Anyway, thank you very much. Ibulachi, everyone, good day. From the Bahamas, I am actually Chief Gloria Taylor Williams. I'm also the founder of Indigenous Languages Africa, or ILA Foundation. And that foundation highlights the preservation and the importance of preserving Indigenous languages, particularly in Africa, so that all is not lost. So that's my main function now, as I have retired from my facilities management, engineering management, and environmental management profession, and also as an educator of language arts to senior high students so that they can begin to understand the importance of communication in business, in life, in real life, in the day-to-day activities. The better you can communicate, the more you are understood and others can bring understanding to you. So that's my brief introduction. And then to focus on the proverb, uh, I think it was the path of, say it again, Simon,
Yeah,
path of a liar is
path
short
of a
lived.
lie is very short. Yes.
Okay. When I think of Proverbs, I think of the words of wisdom. These words are to invoke our attention, get us to pay attention and understand things. And so to me, this particular proverb simply means that, you know, when you lie, consciously or unconsciously, it is short lived because eventually the truth will always be revealed. And the thing about people who lie is when you lie once, then you have to try to cover it when you lie again. And sometimes you get the lies so mixed up that people don't begin to trust you. So to me, this particular proverb talks about the importance of integrity and truth and value of who you are and what you say. So if you say what you mean and mean what you say, that's one thing. But if you say what you mean, yet you really don't mean what you say, it confuses people and it also invokes a distrust of you because now they can't believe anything that you speak or that comes out of your mouth. And hence, it tends to shorten those relationships or interactions. So that's my take on the proverb from Tanzania.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chief Gloria Williams. I appreciate your interpretation on this proverb, and I want to welcome, our wonderful guests. I see Jimmy and Brother and Sarah and Rushi. Thank you for joining us on Clubhouse, and also thank you to everyone joining us on YouTube. I just love hosting this conversation from Monday to Friday, and 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My guest today is the incredible Chief Gloria Williams. We want to learn a little more about you, Chief Gloria. We want you to take us back, to a period of when you are, 8 to 12. I share the story of how I used to distribute milk and bread when I was around, 8 to 12, back in Kenya, in Kisumu, Kenya, where I grew up. My mother owned a business where she would buy milk and bread in wholesale, and then she had distributors on bicycles, and I was one of them. So those years really inspire who I am today, whether it's with this podcast or whether it's with other initiatives that I do. I want you to take us back to a moment, during around that time of your life, 8 to 12, and share with us what happened and how that possibly inspires who you are today.
Thank you, Simon. I think it's going to go back a little further. However, my father being Bahamian from the Bahamas, and my mom, who is Native American Indian, I remember this particular time when my father, who was always inspiring me to do things and to have the ability, like anyone else, to do things. And this particular time, I had come from school, and being the smallest student in the class, both by height, stature, just very tiny person, I would have to pull the stool to the chalkboard to stand on it in order to write on the board, to work through a particular problem that the teacher would have you come to the board and do. Or, sometimes you'd find yourself not able to do certain things like the taller children or the stronger children. And I remember sitting down with my father, and we would talk about anything, but we talked about this day. And he said to me, which has propelled me to this day, he said, no matter how small you are, you can always do something. Everyone is capable of doing something. So you never let the idea or the fact that you are small get in the way of achieving and accomplishing what you set out to do. And I think that is the thing that has stuck with me throughout the ages, throughout my life. Sometimes when you have parents that can sit down and really hold good conversations and laugh about it, but inspire you, encourage you, and push you to just keep going, that sticks with you. And it also shows other people the value you bring. So for me, that to me was my most inspiring moment, as a child, as a young person.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. And it's clear how much energy when when such words come from your parent, especially your father. It sticks with you. And when we look at a lot of the work that you've done, especially when it comes to indigenous languages, when it comes to you as an educator, and also as a chief, as an Igbo chief, there's there's so much that grew out of that story. And I want you to, in a moment, in a few seconds, share with us, just a journey through your work. Some of your biggest accomplishments, from first of all, you being a chief. How did you become an Igbo chief, and and how are you serving the world, by being a chief? And then, share with us also how you're doing work around indigenous languages. And first, I want to ensure that I just recognize Jimmy and Brother and Steven, and also the rest of our audience members, Zize, Sally, Rushi, and Sarah. Feel free to join us on the stage. In about 15 minutes or so, we will come back and listen to your own perspectives of the proverb today, but also comments to my special guest, Chief Gloria Williams. So, Chief Gloria, go ahead and share with us a bit more about your work.
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a lead in. Thank you, Simon. The story I just told of my father, I was left with this image. He went out and he bought this small puppy, this small dog. And the dog was so little that it would sleep and fit inside my father's shoe. So hence was his lesson about no matter how small you are, you know, you fit somewhere. And that little puppy, he could guard the dog and watch out for the children and really put people on notice if they were not correct about something. And that's the way I have gone into the world. I've been fortunate enough to, my husband and I at the time raised two incredible daughters who are doing magnificent things in the world, both as business women, both as women of character and integrity, and they've traveled, and like myself, we've gotten into the world and we've met incredible people. And I think when you allow yourself to connect in the world in different ways, you not only meet incredible people, and I've met people from all walks of life, from all types of statures and positions. And it prepares you to be able to interact and hold conversations and discussion and work well with people, not because of what they have or don't have, but by the content of their heart. And so I happened to receive this envelope, this invitation in the mail by someone who knew me that had it sent. And I put it aside. I thought it was junk mail, honestly. If it hadn't been for the fact that something in my uh, mind told me to just open it, I would have tossed it. But this day, I opened the envelope, invitation to the palace in Anambra State during an Ofala ceremony, a unity ceremony, where people come from all over the world. I mean, there were so many people, but I happened to be part of the crowd, if you will. And I remember someone coming to me and saying that the Igwe wants you to come before him. And I'm thinking, okay. So I did so. And these were people that I had met, along the way. So I went forth and he was telling me, I want to make you a chief. And this is not something you can ask for. This is something that I felt was very spiritual. So he reached out to me in a large crowd of people, bestowed a chieftaincy, and then I began to learn more about what it's like to be a chief, the responsibilities of being a chief, the expectations of being a chief. The chieftaincy, by the way, is for life, unless you do something that's so embarrassing that that you're stripped of your chieftaincy. But it opened my eyes with all the people up to that point that I had worked with and have interacted with across America, Europe, and other places that I've been. For someone to pick you out of a crowd of people, there has to be something that spiritually guides this. And so, as the time went on, for days Ofala was held, we began to have conversations. The king and I. We learned of our similar backgrounds in engineering and other things. And that also gained me the attention to be able to do some work and writings and other things for him. And just talking about languages and other kinds of things that are near and dear to who we are as persons. And I was able to attend the Igbo conference. By the way, that conference is conducted in the Igbo language, but they do have translators and interpreters there who are able to translate, especially if what's being conducted is not fully understandable to those in the conference or the presentations. And so I trained at the palace. I became their protocol person. I would go back and forth, starting in 2005 to even present day. I'm still interacting on behalf of the palace, but also uh, executing many of the things that I have been trained to do. So I think a lot of times, you will experience things just by being a person of good character, a person who is trustworthy, integritous, and so forth. And when you get into the world, people embrace you. And you never know what that will look like until you just step out on blind faith. So I've always been able to work with many people from many walks of life and not give it a thought about what they had, don't have, who they are about, what is their titles, and all of those things that don't matter to me. It really is about the person. So in working with and on my foundation activities, it wasn't until I decided in 2016 to retire, and then I took a 1 year hiatus. I did absolutely nothing felt good because I had worked very hard. And then it just came to me that what is it that I want to do next? And so I focused on the language preservation piece because I came to know just by living and working in Africa for many years that there was this disconnect. I would see people come in and they would always want us to speak English, but uh, the failure of those speaking English as their first language into learning something about the African languages was missing. And I kept asking myself, okay, what can I do? How do I want to approach this? Or what do I want to do with this? Because I would often remind people coming into Africa that you are in Africa. So you not only approach out of a level of respect, but also, there's something about it when you're willing to at least meet people halfway, or at least out of respect, try to understand. And so that gave me the thought of developing the foundation. And the foundation is based on preservation of indigenous languages, Africa. And what that does is it moves itself into the different countries or nations in Africa who are interested in preserving their local dialects, their native tongues. In a practical sense, I'm not so much interested in the digital platforms that I see is happening, AI to construct a means for translation, for example, or other kinds of computerized interactions. Those things do not have the same impact on language the way we have, because languages, whatever we speak, is our identity. And computers, anything, internet, anything, digitalization, anything, is missing that essence of interacting with you in your language or another language, of your heritage. And I would see many times that anything indigenous languages, if you go on the internet, if you go to different social media platforms and so forth, the first thing that pops up are all these other images about indigenous, but you barely almost don't see the African represented or Africa represented. So when a gentleman out of New Zealand came to Bahamas for a conference, and we met, and of course I did a presentation on protocol, which had to do with Africa in particular. He approached me about doing something with the information that I was sort of constructing, not only in my mind, but we spoke about some of the things that can be done and should be done. And so hence I started in 2018 putting together, the foundation. And after that, I was given an invitation to Panama City, Panama, and a call for papers, which was selected to actually present on that very subject. So
Chief
that's how
Gloria,
I really,
Chief Gloria, could you tell me the
yes,
name of your foundation, and then just
yes,
continue
yes,
continue
the
on? I just want to make sure
foundation,
I capture that.
yes, sir. Thank you, Simon. The foundation is ILA Foundation, LBG. It stands for Indigenous Languages Africa Foundation. The LBG is limited by guarantee because the foundation is registered in Ghana, West Africa. So that is the foundation. And the foundation also has a website, which is, of course, www.ILAF, as in Frank, D as in David, .org, O-R-G. So that's ILAFD.org. So for further information, people can visit the website. But I really feel good about where I'm going with the preservation of indigenous languages because it's more in line with personal interactions. I mean, Simon, you know how we do things on the continent in Africa. It's face to face. It's interaction directly with the people or the person. They embrace you, they feed you, they welcome you, they sit down, you hold conversations, you mold ideas and discussions. And there's the essence of all of that that comes to you is from a deeper place. It's more spiritual because the heritage is very deep and in spirituality. So all of the digitalization cannot capture that, and nor should it. We still should be able to embrace each other and hold conversations.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I miss that a lot. I miss the African way of making time not become a factor when it comes to engaging with people and making every moment count. Not always living for what's coming next, but really living for the moment and enjoying the moment. So I love that. And I also
Yes.
appreciate you, for just sharing with us a little. I know that, if we wanted to spend time with you to just even dig deeper about the just the impact of the work that you do, we would easily do that. But I want you to just describe to us, where you are. The Bahamas is a famous and popular destination, especially for people who can afford it. Many Africans have not been to the Bahamas, only Africans who can afford it. And I suspect that many people in the Bahamas have also not been to Africa, only those who can afford it. So if you are speaking to a group of young girls in Manyata slum where I grew up and telling them about the Bahamas, shall speak to some of your favorite, maybe one of your favorite locations in the Bahamas that you take a group of young African sisters to, and your favorite food, that you love to cook, so that before you hear from our audience members, you can just give us a taste of where you are.
Well, thank you very much. It's a distance from Africa, of course, but anyone can afford it. It's kind of a misnomer that people think Bahamas is such an expensive place. If you come as a tourist and you hang out in the tourist destinations, of course it's going to be costly. But I encourage everyone to travel wherever they wish to go, including the Bahamas. Get out with the locals, get out with the lay of the land, learn how we do things, where we go, the foods we eat, and it's doable for anyone, actually. Um, Here we are a hybrid of West Africa and European cultures, by the way. Um, Throughout the Bahamas, there are hundreds of islands. We have hundreds of islands, but not all are inhabited. I happen to be in one of the well known islands, which is Nassau. And our favorite foods are conch, which is this large shellfish that grows in our waters here. Pigeon peas, which is our small bean. This pigeon peas and rice is a favorite dish. We have guava duff and other kinds of desserts, which are from the naturally grown fruits, vegetables, all kinds of things. Every year between December 26th and the 1st of the next year or following year, we have the major Junkanoo, which is our type of festival or carnival. Now, carnival or festival actually starts in February, both in New Orleans in US, Trinidad and Tobago here in Caribbean. And so from February on through, many islands and many nations have their carnivals. And it's quite spectacular to see with all of the costuming and all of the rhythms and, instruments and the performances and the interactions and so forth. So we actually are a hybrid of the African culture and some European culture, all entwined. But the Bahamas is beautiful. We are island nations surrounded by water. The closest island, which is Bimini, is about 60 miles or so from less than 100 miles to the U.S. Florida. But depending on which islands you go to, it would take a bit longer. But Bahamas is doable for everyone. I'm retired. I came home, and I really am comfortable because it's a very calming and a very laid back kind of living. And you get out and you do things. The beaches are popular here. We have that wonderful aqua water, although it looks green from a distance, but when you're in it, it's very clear. So the Bahamas has a little something for everyone.
I love that. I feel like you took me to a journey to the Bahamas there for a moment. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all our guests on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to subscribe to the channel. And for everyone who is with us on Clubhouse, thank you so much, Chief Gloria. I would love for you to take a few notes so that we listen to our guests on stage, and just take a few notes so that you can reflect on some of their comments as you close for us today. But also remember, I would love for our audience members who are listening or those who are watching to support the work that you do. So I would love for you to let us know at the end, how can we support you? So now I want to introduce one of our speakers here, Jimmy. Thank you for joining us. Share with us your perspective. Do you have any comments to my special guest, Chief Gloria Williams? And also, do you have your own interpretation of today's proverb from Tanzania? It says, path of a liar is very short. Thank you so much. Also, let us know where you're joining us, what part of the world you are at the moment.
Thank you, sir. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you sound a little farther. Get just a little closer to your microphone. Just closer.
I'm actually at the airport in transit, so it's a little noisy in here. How about now? Is this better?
Yes, it's much better. Carry on.
Okay, so like I said, I'm in transit at the airport, so please excuse the noise. But I was just listening to our chief there, and just from her voice and her demeanor, you can tell that there's a lot of wisdom there. And anytime, especially to our young Africans, anytime you hear somebody like that speaking, you should really pay attention because there's so much that they say without saying. Just a quick introduction. My name is Jimmy Katuta. I am from Zambia originally. I live in Las Vegas. I've been in the United States for about 29 years. I'm actually heading home. I'm at the airport in New York right now. But I just wanted to chime in about your story here, or rather your title, the importance of honesty. Honesty is something that is often uh, misunderstood, especially by the young people. They think if you lie about something, as long as it doesn't affect anyone's feelings or anyone's life, then it's not so bad. But it's always bad. Like the chief said, the the the, the plague of dishonesty is that once you start lying, it's very difficult to stop. You just keep piling on, piling on. Next thing you know, you start believing your own lies, and next thing you know, you're living in a world that doesn't exist. But I'm just listening in, and like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I am around people. But I'm enjoying the conversation, and I'll be happy to chime in again when I get a chance. But for now, well done, Simon, for doing this. This is something that we need as Africans. We need to have these discussions because there's so much to be said and so much to learn. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jimmy, and safe travels home. Zambia is beautiful. I've been to Malawi, but I've not been to Zambia yet. So when you get there, enjoy the local delicacies on our behalf.
I intend to. I intend to. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think the other day I heard that the Zambian kwacha is really strong against the dollar, while I know that the Kenyan shilling is getting weaker and weaker against the dollar. So congratulations. I think the new president is already doing some incredible work. I love it when, when we have good leaders. But now I want to move on to Brother Earth, who is a great contributor to the Daily African Proverbs. Share with us your own perspectives as well on the proverb. The proverb says, "Path of a liar is short," and it's from Tanzania. And also, if you have a comment to our special guest, go ahead and share and let us know where you're joining from as well. Thank you.
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm calling from the North Carolina territory. And as far as the chief, I think it's very important and beautiful what she's doing and making sure the culture is preserved. Because, so oftentimes, a lot of the ones who so-called write the history or try to keep the culture not necessarily have the best interests at heart. And for her to be so sincere and what she's doing is very important and very special. And I give her honors for that. And as far as the proverb, the path of a liar is a short. And growing up, that's two things my granddaddy used to, it emphasized to me, boy, you don't want to be no lie and you don't want to be a thief. He says, because if you a liar, um, that's gonna be your reputation, and your reputation gonna follow you. And who want to get caught or deal with somebody that they can't trust? You can't trust a liar because every other thing they say out their mouth is fake or false. And that's why it's so important to be uh, honest and sincere. And that's what I'll say to that. Uh, with that, I'll park my plane. Peace and love, families, brother Earth.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Earth. Peace and love to you. I see Chief Gloria smiling. I'll give you a moment, Chief, to respond to all our speakers. We want to move on to Steve quickly here. Steve, share with us, where you're joining us from, your own interpretation of this proverb from Tanzania that says, "Path of a liar is very short." And also share any comments to our special guest, Chief Gloria Williams.
Thank you, Simon, for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm Stephen Annington, joining from Kisumu, Kenya, One Vibe Center in Africa. Today's proverb is a nice one, and before I get into the proverb, allow me to appreciate Chief Williams. It's an honor to have you in this session, and I'm very grateful for the many wisdom that you've shared. It's actually the first time I'm being part of a session being hosted by a chief. The title chief, I hear it mostly only in the West Africa films and movies, the Nigeria movies. I'm very honored to be part of this session and hearing from you. On today's proverb, my interpretation of the proverb is that both lies and honesty have got their wages. And as a brand builder and as a business person, it's upon you to build your brand and paint your brand the colors that will attract your target clients. If you build your brand with a very bad reputation, nobody would want to associate to your brand. And if you build your brand positively with good principles and good morals, and you stick to the morals that you've established and built your brand with, many people would like to associate to such a brand. So a liar, the wages of a liar are very many. One, there is no self-confidence in yourself, because there is, for how long will you be lying? And for how long will the lie last, And you will be having self-doubt. And there are many virtues that a liar has that many people will just look at you and point out that this is true or false. But then you will be losing your network and connections as more as you keep lying and as more as days keep going by. So thank you. Allow me to leave it at that point, Simon. Thank you for having me again, and that was my take for this.
Wonderful, Steve. Thank you for your contribution as well. I want to just welcome everyone who is just joining us for the Daily African Proverbs. We are towards the end of our conversation. Currently, I'm hosting a really special guest, Chief Gloria Williams. So stay. Just grab a cup of coffee or water, and make yourself comfortable. We have a few guests on the stage who are going to also share with us their perspectives. We want to go to Stella and Rushi and Kay and Jay, and then we will come back to Chief Gloria Williams to share her reflections. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, where we are also live streaming this conversation, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. The link is at the top of the Clubhouse room. And thank you to everyone who is joining us over there. Stella, how are you doing today, and where are you joining us from? And what is your own perspective on this proverb? Path of a liar is very, very short. Is very short. Thank you, and let us know where you're joining from as well.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. This is Stella. I'm joining from Kenya. And today's proverb says, "Path of a liar is very short," and it just reminds me of something that my mother used to say when we were young. That if you keep covering up bad habits, then someday they'll start smelling, and when they're smelling, people will finally get to smell it, and you won't have any more time to cover it up. So it's better to just take the right path and try to live your life in a truthful way. And that's what the proverb reminds me of today. And I'm also glad that Chief Gloria joined us, and I'm honored, and I'm happy to be here today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stella. I'm grateful that you're here as well. Let's go to Rushi. How are you doing, my brother? Where are you joining us from? And what are your perspective on this proverb from Tanzania? And let us know where you are at the moment. Thank you so much.
Hey, Simon. Yeah, I am calling. I'm here in Seattle where the sun is out, and I am about to be outside as well soon. This is a great proverb. It makes me think of the cause and effect, though, of this proverb. The path of a liar is short. However, the person who has been lied to is now on a journey. It's on a very long journey to seek the truth, and that truth is held by the liar. So when I think of this proverb, I think of the selfishness that comes with lies, especially when they're told to people who you have a good relationship with, because you're saying a lot when you don't tell them the truth. You're saying that, what I feel is much more greater than me telling you the truth. So that's what I think of when I think of this proverb, just how long the path is, how long the journey is for the person who is trying to uncover truth when it's actually being held in confidence by someone who has lied. So that's what I think of when I think of this proverb. But also on another note, I'm very honored to be here with the chief. I also think about how this proverb relates to where I'm from, which is Charleston, South Carolina, is where I am from, and how it relates is I remember growing up, language was so important. I come from a place where uh, it's filled with the Gullah Geechee people, and we have a language that is known as Gullah, which is spoken in the South, in Charleston, South Carolina, and Georgia. And growing up, when once you speak this language, and when you go out into other states, people always look down upon sometimes people from our area because the way that we talk is so different. So a lot of times, especially in school, you learn to speak proper English. You don't say they, which is how we would say you had to say they, you have to pronounce the th and things like that. So we start with a position of hiding or lying to ourselves by how we speak. So somehow all this is all related with the proverb and with the language. And it's been a very enlightening conversation, and I am very thankful for being here today. Thank you. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Rush. I appreciate you being here. Let's go to Kay. Kay, share with us where you're joining us from, what today's proverb from Tanzania means to you, and also, any comments to my special guest, Chief Gloria Williams. The proverb says, "Path of a liar is very short." It's from Tanzania.
Thank you, Chief, for being here. And I'm speaking to you on Abenaki land, commonly referred to as Vermont. And this proverb means to me that the assumption that a long path is what we desire, and only honest folks will be able to stay on the long journey. It also implies that goals that are using the foundation of honesty are lasting and attainable, contrary to goals that are built on lies, have flimsy foundations. And it also implies that a long, healthy path can only be built on a web of truth. And that's it. Thank you again.
Wow, incredible. What Rushi said, and quite a bit of what you said about truth, and having access to truth is really important. And the relationship between the liar, the person who is lying, and the person who is being lied to, and also the implications. I can't wait to hear what Chief Gloria has to say in closing. So let's go to Jay. Jay, thank you again for your continued support. Please share with us your own perspectives on this proverb from Tanzania that says path of a liar is very short. Your comments in regards to, the conversation with Chief Gloria, and also where you are at the moment.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, and I'm joining you from Seattle, Washington as well. Just working in the legal system, and every now and then I like to watch 48 Hours. And facts are short, sweet, and simple. It is what it is, what it is. It's not complicated. It's not convoluted. But for a liar, they just take a long time explaining something, trying to convince you. It's long, it's drawn out. And because it's not the truth, it's not honest, it's not a fact, often they'll stutter and stumble over themselves, and then you're catching where something doesn't make sense, something's not quite right, doesn't add up, then they have to start all over again. So the path is long because you're not settling on telling exactly what a situation is or circumstance or what occurred or what happened. You're lying. And when you're lying, it takes a long time to finally get to what is truly the truth, which could have been resolved a lot quicker, a lot easier, less pain, less trouble, less hardship if you started with the facts. This is Jade. I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. Yeah, start with the facts. It makes everything easier for everybody. We've learned so much today, especially from our speakers on the stage, and we have also learned so much from our guest, Chief Gloria Williams. We began our time together with Chief Gloria sharing her own interpretation of this proverb. Before that, I actually shared the 3 takeaways that our team prepared for today's episode of the Daily African Proverbs. If you missed them, you have to watch this from the very beginning, if it's on YouTube, or listen to it across all podcasting platforms from the beginning. You'll catch it. It's around the 8th minute when I shared the 3 takeaways. But Chief Gloria also shared with us a story from her childhood that inspires who she is today. And then she took us on a journey, of the work that she has done in terms of preserving indigenous African languages, how she ended up living in Africa for so many years, and the work she's doing as a chief, And also, we heard from you, our special guests on the stage. But now, Chief Gloria, I want you to reflect on some of the things that you heard just briefly, and then share with us how we can support your amazing work.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you for all the guests who shared some wonderful, wonderful discussions, because 2 of the things that I think encapsulate everything that was discussed is one gentleman talked about painting your brand. Your brand is your reputation. And if your reputation, whatever it is, good, bad, or indifferent, that always precedes you wherever you go. And I find also that sometimes when people deceive, because lying is a form of deceit, they really don't even know who you are, what you're about, or even who you know. So your reputation is your brand. And I reflected on something else that someone else pointed out as the cause and effect. Cause and effect touches everything. And a lot of people don't see that because of what you caused or that was caused ends up being the result, which is the effect of that cause. So if you are a person who is deceitful, that eventually shows a result that is not in your favor, honestly. And I want to emphasize one thing about preservation of indigenous languages Africa, because there is a need. But we're not advocating through the foundation or any other platform the dismantling or disruption of mainstream languages. What we're simply advocating is, just as you go to Europe, or just as you go to Asia, or just as you go to some other continent, they speak their languages and they interact with you in their languages, though they may speak English as a second language, but it's not automatic that they will speak English just because you speak it. But I have observed with working and living in Africa that when people come into Africa who only speak English, by the way, there's this expectation that because an African speaks English, that it's understood in the same way. Well, I'm here to tell you it is not necessarily the same. They may use English words, but, semantics makes a big difference on how it's understood. So in closing, I want to read something to you because I know that there has been a great effort for hundreds of years to dismantle the African culture and heritage in particular. And it's an 1835 paragraph that was written by Lord Macaulay and addressed to the British Parliament in that year, the 2nd of February, 1835. And it simply reads very quickly: I have traveled across, the length and breadth of Africa, and I have not seen one person who is a beggar, who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber, that I do not think we would ever conquer this country. He calls Africa a country. It's a continent. Unless we break the very backbone of this nation, he calls Africa a nation. Africa is 55 nations, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture. For if the Africans think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native culture, and they will become what we want them, a truly dominated nation. Again, continent. And I keep this clip, and this clip is also on the website. So if you visit www.ilafd.org, you will see this piece on the website and you can view it for yourself. But there has been a deliberate effort to manipulate the continent of Africa, our heritage, our culture, our people, and our understanding of what life is about. So I want everyone to please understand Africa has been the basis for everything. Scientists now have traced all world languages back to a single mother tongue right out of Africa. So if people would understand the continent instead of trying to make the continent something they want it to be, they may learn a lot more about themselves. So I really appreciate the comments that were shared and the perhaps experiences and the insight along with the Tanzania proverb, because, you know, in today's society, it always seems as though people who are deceitful, you know, sort of get the attention. But the African proverb is telling you something. It's telling you also it's short-lived. So let us live our life in integrity. Let us live our life in values. Let us embrace the morals and the understanding of a people of who we are. And let us also embrace one another, because at the end of the day, people are people, and Africans are no different. They speak a different language. They have many languages, many cultures, you know, many places. But for those who have never been, I'm telling you, the continent is absolutely beautiful. Does it have problems? Of course. What continent doesn't, or nation? Are there situations that can be improved? Of course. Where else do you go where there isn't improvement? There's always room for improvement. But we must stand for who we are as a people. We must get to understand that the world really doesn't know us or understand us. That's why they try to change us. But I'm here to say that as the founder of the Indigenous Language Africa Foundation, we must continue to preserve the indigenous languages of Africa. After all, it's our identity, it's our heritage, it's our culture. So let us sing our song and dance to the beat of our own drums. And we might surprise ourselves that we are a mighty people. We come from a mighty people. And I'm telling you, I have sat and interacted with, you know, kings on down to, you know, street hawkers and other people. It doesn't matter the level that you operate from. Again, it's about the content of your heart. And I'm telling you, you will thoroughly be embraced. So I thank Simon for this opportunity. I thank our guests for engaging their thoughts about the African proverb, the Tanzania proverb. And I certainly thank all of our listeners, and particularly our host, because I know that everyone's very busy and we take time from our busy schedules to do what we can, but let each of us continue to inspire our 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 world so that it continues on a more positive note. And I thank you. Or as we say in Igbo, Dalu.
Dalu. Thank you, Chief Chief Gloria Williams, and also thank you to all our guests. We've come to the tail end of our time together today. Tomorrow, we are going to be joined by Chioma Sheri, who is an incredible poet, writer, and creator. She's going to be our guest. She's going to take this African proverb that we will have. Tomorrow is a different proverb, but she'll take it and turn it into a poem. You don't want to miss that, and also on August 13th and 14th, I am producing Madaraka Festival in Seattle for the 8th year in a row. And it happened in Kenya 2019 as well. And I'm working with an incredible group of people, both in Kenya, including Lavenda, who is in the audience, and here in Seattle. We are partnering with Microsoft and Amazon. It's just going to be an incredible event right at the waterfront in Seattle. In fact, Jay performed at Madaraka last year. I wonder if, Jay, you just want to speak about last year's experience briefly, and what this year's event excites you about, if you don't mind. Okay.
I'm sorry. I was right in the middle of something. I apologize, Simon. Actually, Madaraka is a powerful event. And listening to Rushy talk about the Gullah people, this is where, and I've been to festivals as well, the Gullah Festival. This is where you can come together and truly embrace your culture in terms of the music, the performances, the spoken word, the poetry, and the language, and just honestly embracing your culture and just feeling extremely proud of all of the gifts and talents and abilities that your specific culture brings to society as a whole, and how it makes you feel more a part of a unique and tribe that's very supportive. That was in Bellevue, which is right across the water from Seattle. You take the bridge across the water. That was done in Bellevue. I'm really looking forward to Madaraka Festival on Pier 62, which is in Seattle, and as Simon mentioned, it's on the waterfront. It's just a beautiful location for a festival. And there will be even more. These are individuals that in the field that have a tremendous amount of talent and skill and ability, from those that are well known in the industry, from those that aren't as well known, and all of them coming together for one purpose, and that is to uplift Africa. Is to uplift Africa, and specifically designed to give back to the youth in Kenya, to make sure that they have the tools, the instruments, in order for them to be able to eventually perform professionally, but also just to have, skills and talents and abilities that really do resonate with your history and with your culture. So it's very exciting. And it's for those that are in Seattle, of course, you need to be there. For those that are outside of Seattle, you still have time to make your hotel reservations and to come and enjoy a spectacular event. And I wanted to mention with the colors, all the colors, the way you dress, the jewelry, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. So for those that can make it to Seattle, you will not be disappointed. And that's what I wanted to say about the festival.
Thank you, Jay. That's a beautiful description of Madaraka. I truly appreciate it. And, thank you again to all our guests and speakers and contributors. I want to thank you again, Chief Gloria Williams, for your time with us today. I truly, truly appreciate you. And we are going to wrap up with all of that. Peace and love to everyone. Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. All right.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.